Hey, this is Raul for Bass Musician Magazine, and we are at Winter NAMM 2013. I have the great honor and privilege to be sitting here with Mr. Gerald Veasley, the guy behind the boot camp with the bass. And I had been looking at your website, and there was a quote that you have there that I particularly liked, and that's from Grover Washington Jr. that says, "Everybody has something to say." I figured you had something to say, so we wanted to talk to you and hear what it was that you had to say to us.
All right.
So let's start talking a little bit. I know you've got the boot camp coming up. The beginning of March is about the 1st to the 3rd, Reading, Pennsylvania.
That's correct.
So you want to tell us a little bit about that whole project?
Yeah, thanks a lot. So we're in our 12th year of presenting the camp, and we are basically an annual event, and it takes place in Pennsylvania, about an hour from Philadelphia, my home. And what we do is it's a camp that's designed for bass players of all levels, from advanced players to beginners. And I even joke and say, if you bought a bass on the way in from the airport, we could teach you something. Okay, so it's for everybody. We've had ages as young as 12 and as old as 68 who have come and taken the camp. And what we've built over time is a community. So we've had maybe 600 or so odd players who have come through our program, people from all walks of life. And we've had a phenomenal roster of players through the year, of instructors. Folks like Adam Nitti, Richard Bona, Will Lee, Anthony Wellington, Michael Manring, Victor Wooten has taught at my camp. I've taught at his. Victor Bailey, just phenomenal who's who of bass players, with one common thread, that all these instructors not only are great players, but they love sharing what they know. And that's the spirit of the camp.
Gotcha. Well, and you may not know it, in the craziness of NAMM, we were standing in line the other night, and we were actually chatting with somebody who's been to your camp.
Okay.
And he mentioned that when he first went there at the very beginning of the camp, one of the questions that was asked of him is, where does he think he's going to be in 5 years? And it turns out that now he teaches at your camp too, but he had put that on his piece of paper, that's what he wanted to do. That was his goal.
Yeah.
And so he's living that dream, and he's at your boot camp. So that's a tremendous thing to be able to share. And again, all of these people, a lot of them that we've had the opportunity to chat with, they're just, you know, in addition to just being phenomenal musicians, they're just great people. So it's a great thing to put together and keep the bass dream alive and all that. Now, did you have anything to add about the camp? Or?
Well, I want to just tap into what you said about the dream, because this all started sort of out of the idea that we could help people become better players. But what I didn't realize is that the people were looking for not just improving their skill, but we have a lot of folks who are looking to add meaning to their lives, particularly baby boomers. You know, there's an explosion of baby boomers now who are hitting that second phase of their life, who are thinking about retirement or retiring, and they're looking for something to add experience, a meaningful experience to their lives. So we have a lot of folks for whom the camp is that experience, right? So some folks have dreams, like Rob is the guy you mentioned, who's a pro player, right? So Rob, when I ask people to think about what they want to do, they talk about all kinds of things they dream of doing. So Rob was to teach at the camp.
Yeah.
And when I read all of the things that people aspire to, that one sounded a little bit humorous to people. But I totally believe that dreams can come true. In a lot of ways, well, this business that we're in, the music business, is the dream business.
Absolutely.
But we have people who come through our camp for other kinds of dreams. I'll give you one quick story. We had one gentleman who, his day job was a fitness trainer, and they actually managed a fitness facility. And if you were to see him, he looks really buff. He wouldn't necessarily look like a bass player, but he's a great bass player. But he wasn't a pro bass player. He was a trainer.
Yeah.
So his goal was really simple. He had two things he wanted to accomplish by coming to the camp. He wanted to learn how to make a living playing bass full time, and he wanted to travel the world. really simple objectives. And he sent me an email after coming to the camp, maybe a few months later, that he had gotten the job playing the bass for the Ringling Brothers Circus, Barnum and Bailey Circus.
Yeah.
So people's dreams, I mean, you can really make inroads to those things that you think are impossible. And if I can share one more quick story.
You can share all you want.
So we talked about kind of these metaphorical dreams. You have a dream, an idea of something you want to accomplish. But sometimes folks come with literal dreams. There was this one woman who woke up one morning in New York City, middle-aged woman. She called her daughter, "Honey, I want you to meet me in Manhattan." "Why, Mom?" "Because I'm going to a music store." "Why?" "Because I want to buy a bass." You don't play the bass." "I know, but I had a dream I was playing the bass." So she goes down to the music store, she buys a bass, she takes lessons, she practices, she sees an ad for the bass boot camp. She calls me, she asks the two questions everybody else asks: is it for beginners or is it for my level? And are you full? And the answer is always yes. We always can take you no matter what your level is. And no, we're never full because there's always room for one more bass player.
There you go.
So she comes to the camp and she gets inspired, even though she's struggling a little bit, right? But she goes away, and I was really moved by her. Something about her was special. She came back the second year, but now another kind of dream had taken hold of her, because when we did the exercise asking people what they wanted to do now, her dream was to use her bass playing in her work. I said, "Well, what do you do for a living?" She is a grief counselor for people who have been affected by 9/11. So these kinds of things help me to realize that it's more than bass, it's more than skill. There's something else going on. There's community, there's personal growth, and then there's using what you learn to help other people.
Yeah.
That's really the spirit of the camp.
That's amazing, and I'm sure it's quite satisfying when you have, like, you knew who it was. You knew it was Rob right off the bat when I talked about it. So those is probably what keep you going for 12 years, like it has been, and hopefully for many, many more. Maybe one day I'll get a chance to go to your camp. And
you should come. You really should come. You will love it. I mean, first of all, you'd fit right in, because everybody kind of comes with the mindset of, we just love bass playing and we love each other as bass players. Leave your ego at the door.
Absolutely.
There was one exercise where I had bass players I would give them something to play, and it's something we call the bass circle. And in the bass circle, I shouldn't give it away. I'll give it away. So the concept of the bass circle is you have these bass players who work together as an ensemble, but everybody has a specific part to play, and that part is interlocked with the part of the guy next to you or the woman next to you. So you can't really alter your part, because your part has to fit in the whole. So even though there's no drummer, there's no piano player, there's no sax player or no singer, you start to understand where your bass line fits. And then you realize the importance of discipline, right? But there was this one guy who came in, and he wanted to use that exercise as a chance to show how awesome he was. So as he was playing, and he was just showing off, and everybody else was saying, I went over to him, behind him, without him seeing, and started detuning his bass. Now, I just wanted to show him that he wasn't in tune with the process of what everybody was doing.
Gotcha.
So I literally took him out of tune.
Yeah.
And that's so, but what's the important part of the story is that those players are kind of rare. Most folks come in with this humility, and even the instructors, because we realize that we're also students. And the other philosophy of the camp is that everyone is a student and everyone is a teacher.
Gotcha, gotcha. Well, I'm going to have to plan ahead for that camp thing. I'm going to move along. Every bass musician has an instrument that is like an extension of who we are and how we get our voice out there. And I know that you're currently playing on what a lot of people like to call an Ibanez. I call it Ibanez because of my Latin roots. But I don't see an Enya on it, and everybody's like, so why don't you tell us a little bit about your axe here?
All right, this is my baby. I call it the honey bass.
The honey bass?
Because obviously the color, but it's also just a sweet instrument. One of the things that I worked with Joe Zawinul for many years. Of course, he was the founding member of Weather Report, which spawned some great bass players like Jaco Pastorius and Victor Bailey. And one of the things that was really challenging for me being in that band wasn't so much the groove, it wasn't so much anything about the difficulty of the music, it was playing and expressing myself melodically. So I spent a lot of years really developing a melodic voice. But as I was working, I never really had the instrument that also was an extension of what my melodic ideas and my melodic aesthetic was. So first of all, tonally, I wanted to have an instrument that would really kind of sing. And I think we achieved it with this instrument. It's an alder body, which is, you know, somewhat traditional, with a maple top. The importance of the maple is it adds clarity, which is really important for melodic style playing, but also for like slap and groove playing. That for me, I love the clarity of a bass. Okay. The other thing, speaking of clarity, is it has this particular monorail bridge, which I think it really enhances the overall cleanness of the sound. You know, a lot of this basses you have sympathetic vibrations from string to string, right? So a lot of times we'll do all kinds of things to dampen the excessive sounds and the unintended sounds. But the monorail bridge really helps keeping down on sympathetic vibrations. So the overall sound of the instrument is cleaner. The basic EQ is, you know, your bass, middle, and treble. But the mid, you can select either 400 or 800 hertz to cut or boost, which is really a really nice feature, because if you want a kind of an open sound, you can take the 400 hertz and dial it out a little bit. If you want a little slightly punchy sound on top end, you can dial in a little 800 hertz. So lots of things in this simple design that make it really versatile. Of course, volume and the pickup selector. On this model, we have the Bartolini Pickups. I'm a big fan of Bartolini. You know, ever since hearing Anthony Jackson, I fell in love with Bartolini because I've never been disappointed. And the pickups they designed for this instrument are just really wonderful. Very warm sounding, sound very consistent with throughout the range of the instrument. Sounds great. And under the hood, we've got the Aguilar preamp, the OP3 preamp.
Wow, very nice.
And it's a very muscular preamp. I mean, it really has a 12 dB of cut or boost, and it's very musical, and I really love it. So that's the highlights of the instrument. This instrument is handmade in Japan. And I'm just really proud of it. Really proud of it.
A lot of nice attention to detail with the mother of pearl inlay,
yep.
And I see you got 6-string there. So,
well, yeah. The unique thing about the 6-string in this case is the spacing.
Gotcha.
You know, so when I'm playing the chordal playing that I can play 5-note chords without any you know, uncomfortable stretching. And moving from string to string is very easy. Now for somebody who's playing a more traditional bass with maybe 16, 17 spacing, it may feel a little bit awkward at first because everybody wants the spacing on a 6, not everybody. Some folks want the 6 spacing to be the same as a 4 spacing. But then what you're losing is that kind of ability to move from string to string. You know, I see folks, friends of mine with these necks of their basses look like they get ready to use it as a surfboard.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I like the fact that it still feels like a manageable neck, and also
I gotcha.
You know, it's also slim in that way. So anybody that has ever told me they've played this bass, the first thing they're impressed with is the feel and how it's very playable. And it doesn't feel like a struggle in terms of playing. Now the downside though is that then people think that I'm cheating, right? Because I really try to go for this effortless playing. Yeah. So they think it's not my discipline and my study. Yeah. They think it's all the bass.
It's like the tennis shoes. They don't make me jump any higher. So it definitely is a lot more than just the instrument.
Yeah.
But that's
this is my baby, and yeah, we have a an entry-level model. I don't know if that's what Ibanez calls it. I should ask somebody. But a more affordable model as well.
Okay.
That sounds incredible. So that actually has proprietary Ibanez pickups and Ibanez preamp, and it sounds really, really wonderful. And it's slightly different. You know, it's a slightly different sound. But this is my baby.
It's a nice baby. There you go.
Honey bass.
The honey bass. So let's keep on moving. What have you got going on for projects? You know, CDs, touring, stuff like that.
Well, you know, I'm from Philadelphia. So a project that I put together a few years ago is called Sounds of Philly. So we take a lot of the music that is in the American songbook, the R&B songbook coming out of Philadelphia, a lot of the Gamble and Huff stuff, and we reinvent it in a jazz kind of milieu or jazz genre. And we're working on an album that'll come out in April of that, The Sounds of Philly. And I have a business that we started 2 years ago, my partner and I, Richard Waller, called Fanwave Music. Fanwave Media and the Fanwave Music Group. And what we do is help independent artists. One of the things I noticed is that being around so many independent artists, especially with the CAM, is that folks have a lot of great projects, and there are a lot of tools out there for independent artists to help get their projects out there. There are different companies that you can sign up for distribution or to help you with your social media and on and on. But the one thing that folks don't have often is time and expertise. That's the toughest thing, to have time to manage these tools and the expertise to know how to use them. So the company that we started, that's what we're designed to do. It's my partner, myself, and 2 associates that really help folks with all sorts of campaigns, drawing on our experience as musicians and entrepreneurs. Yeah.
Well, you know, I appreciate you taking time from your busy schedule to talk to our readers at Bass Musician Magazine. What would be the best way? I know I Googled you and looked at the website, but if people want to contact you, either to sign up for the boot camp or to look into your services with the business and all that, what's the best place for them to go?
Yeah, the easiest email where I get everything is bassbootcamp@aol.com. And if they want more information about the Bass Boot Camp, just Google Bass Boot Camp, bassbootcamp.com. Also, GeraldVeasley.com. You'll see stuff about my projects, touring, and all that good stuff. And yeah, that's how they reach me.
Well, thank you very much again. There you have it, perusers of Bass Musician Magazine. Mr. Gerald Veasley, bringing it straight to you from NAMM 2013.